Guest registration process for the New York City campus. To register a guest, the resident host and guest must visit the Splan kiosk located in the lobby of the residence hall. Select New Registration, then select Manual Registration, then complete each of the required fields on the new visitor registration form. Input the guest's first name, guest's last name, a contact number for the guest, and select the resident host name from the Whom Are You Meeting field. When this field is selected, a search function will appear. Update the start date and time and end date and time to reflect the period of time the guest will be staying in the residence hall. Then select the camera icon to capture a photo of the guest's face. The photo should include the guest's full face with no mask or other obstructions. Then select Next. The guest must then sign off on the acknowledgement of Pace University guest policy and select Next to submit the form. For access to the residence hall, visit the security desk in the lobby. Both the resident host and guest must be present for the guest to be granted access. A resident host must provide their valid PACE ID and the guest's valid PACE ID or a government-issued ID to verify identity and sign-in status. If credentials are verified, the security guard will provide the guest access to the residence hall when escorted by their resident host. Paper guest passes will not be issued. Guest policy highlights. Each resident host is permitted to have up to 2 guests at a time for no more than 5 consecutive nights with a limit of 10 overnight visits per month. This resets on the 1st of every month. It's important to discuss your plans with your roommate or roommates. Each resident host is responsible for their guests' behavior while their guests are in the residence hall. Violations of any university policy may result in a loss of guest privileges for the guest and/or resident host. Short-term versus overnight guests. Guests that arrive and depart on the same day during the hours of operation, generally 9 a.m. to 1 a.m., are considered short-term guests. Residents are permitted unlimited short-term guests up to 2 at a time. Guests who are registered to stay after 1 a.m. or guests who remain in the residence halls after 1 a.m. are considered overnight guests. There is a limit of 5 consecutive nights for hosting overnight guests with no more than 10 visits per month. Each guest counts as 1 visit per night. Guest sign-out procedures. Guests will be signed out automatically at the end of their registered period and will not be permitted back into the residence hall unless registered again. If you have 2 active guest registrations, you must visit the security desk with one of your guests who is departing to sign out the guest before registering a new guest. Guest registration support. For support with guest registration during regular business hours, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., except when the university is closed, contact the Housing Operations Team at housing@pace.edu or 914-773-3676. For support after hours, contact the RA on duty at the number posted in the residence hall.